Glens Falls, New York, and I took piano lessons when I was a kid, and the only reason I stayed with it was because the nun would lock me in the room at lunchtime, so I had to practice. Later I took violin lessons. That lasted about a month, and I just remember seeing bagpipes on television and said to my grandmother, that's what I'd like to do. I'd like to play bagpipes. Well, my grandmother, a good McGrody from Donegal, said, I'll see if I can find you a teacher, and she did. So she found me a teacher with the Adirondack Pipe Band, and took lessons with them for a couple of years until we moved to Phoenix. I joined the Phoenix Scottish Pipe Band and took lessons with the band, eventually became pipe major of the band. And since then, my gosh, I played all over the country at one time or another with different bands. 4 years in the Navy, I was able to play with a band in San Diego while I was there, which is where I met my wife, who played bagpipes. And played with a band in Charleston, South Carolina. We started a band in Savannah, played with a band in Atlanta, played with a band in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and now the big thing for us is a band we put together to take to Northern Ireland this past July. So a lot of playing in the last 60-some years. Yep. And teaching as well. So I guess one of the neat things about teaching is that if you do a good job, people stay with you. And by that I mean they stay involved in you. And so when we tried to put this program, or we did put this program together to start a band called the Hugh O'Connor Memorial Pipe Band, I called on students and people I'd played with all over the country. By the time we got the band ready to go to Ballymena this year, we had 2 people from Florida, we had people from South Carolina, we had people from Portland, someone else from San Francisco, another from LA, a couple from New Mexico, just people that I played with or taught at one time or another. And it was a great homecoming when we got to play together in that grade 4 contest. I probably have a couple hundred students around the country at one time or another that I've taught. Teaching has been a wonderful thing. You get to, especially when you're dealing with young people, because you get to be more than just a bagpipe teacher. I've had more than one mom send me a note and say, I'm so glad to have you in my son's life or my daughter's life because you've actually become a part of our family. Being able to get here and start teaching and teaching here in the center was especially nice. I could go home. I didn't have to, I didn't have to say you go home. I could go home. I think two of the opportunities stick in my mind, and each of them was to play for one of the presidents of Ireland. The first was Mary Robinson. When she visited here, I had a chance to play her in. And years later, saw her at an event in Dublin and reminded her of that. And then I also played for Mary McAleese when she visited the center. Those are pretty exciting moments. So I love Ireland. Anything I can do to promote it, I will. Was and am one of the luckiest people in the world. I was stationed in San Diego for A school and anti-submarine warfare school, basic electronics school. So a good bit of time that I had free, and so I would go to band practices. I knew the people in the Cameron Highlanders just from our time here in Phoenix, and so I ended up playing as a guest player for them. And while I was there, I met Kathy Shappy. And at the time that I was playing in the band, she was engaged to some guy from England. Enough said about that. And so just as I was leaving to get my ship in Charleston, South Carolina, I was walking away from the coffee shop after band practice, and I heard 2 of the older guys say, I think she would be a good date for Leonard. And I stopped in my tracks and I said, who are you talking about? And they said, Kathy Shappy. She and John have broken up. And I said, well, that's lovely because tomorrow I leave for Charleston, South Carolina. I got on my ship and I was there less than a month, and I received a letter from the pipe major of the band, and he his letters were marvelous. He would start at the top of the page and type until he ran out of space and sign it. At the very end of the letter, he said, "I think you should write to Kathy Shappy. I think she's kind of lonely too. And here's her address." So we started writing back and forth and phone calls and tapes. And eventually, I just said, "Why don't you come and visit?" She came out to Charleston, stayed with friends of mine, and before she went home, we were engaged. Just and she was a great player, a great partner. Basically, I definitely married up. She was a wonderful woman. I miss her. When we moved back here in '98, just getting settled in the house and everything, and we bought an insurance agency for farmers, and so just getting set up and getting things going, she had heard about an organization called ARIN. It was Executive Resources for Irish Networking, and she said, "I think it would be a good idea if we joined that. It would be good for our business." So sure enough, she made some phone calls, and we went out to meet some people, and never stopped. It was just a good introduction. She set up the language class here with a couple of others. Fortunately, Kathy had a degree in linguistics, and languages came pretty easy to her. I'm still working on English, and so then from there she developed a program. We worked with a couple of festivals here, kept the band going. She helped me with teaching and setting things up. It was so it was basically, that was our introduction to the center, and never looked back. You know, I don't think there's anything I've done for the community here that I haven't enjoyed. Early on, when Kathy and I were here, right, within 3 years of living back here in the Phoenix area, we decided we wanted to move downtown. We wanted to be closer to the Irish Community Center. And so we're just a little over a mile north of here. So I can walk here if I want to. I've ridden my bicycle here for functions a number of times. So I guess the truth is, I owe a lot to this community. When my wife died in 2008, the community was open to me. It's almost like I had a place to go. I had an extended family that meant a lot to me. And so, yeah, thank you, Irish community.